what's up you guys, this is Rob from Gay Guy Plays, and today on The Rundown, it's all about playing with yourself when we take a look at Saryn Revisited. Now, many of us knew Saryn's previous incarnation as a bit of a one-trick pony. While her base abilities were alright, if not slightly subpar, many players were far too enticed by the promise of instant spammable upfront damage. Now, as many of us know, straight-up damage abilities do not scale into late game, and pressing 4 on repeat is not the most engaging gameplay. So, in an attempt to create a far more interesting frame that scales incredibly well into late game scenarios and synergizes better with herself as well as other frames, they've turned the one-button wonder into a plague-bearing princess. Now, you can pick up Saryn's blueprint in the market for 35,000 credits, while the rest of her required components drop off of Kayla Dethame in the Marrow assassination mission on Sedna. However, if you've got the bug and don't want to rely on RNGs for drops, you can always pick her up in the market pre-built along with a Warframe slot and Catalyst for 225 plat. Now, statistically, Saryn is a strange hybrid, part brawler, part caster, with a slight bump in health and above average armor and power. With the right build, she'll be able to stand toe-to-toe with any enemy on the star chart, which is very important since her kit is best used up close and personal. In addition, her passive grants her a bonus 25% duration on any status she inflicts, so definitely consider a Rage and Life Strike build to keep Saryn survivable, as she's made to outlast instead of overpower. Now, let's spread a little love. Saryn's first ability, Spore, seeds a target enemy with 3 large spores, each of which individually inflict viral damage over time. Spores can be popped with both range and melee attacks, removing 1 instance of damage from the enemy, inflicting the viral status and causing spores to spread to enemies within a 16-meter base range. If an enemy is inflicted with the toxin status when a spore is popped, it will spread the status to surrounding enemies as well. In addition, enemies that die while under the effects of Spore will spread the infection to surrounding targets in a reduced range. Now, while this skill is great for softening up a single target, its true power is its ability to spread through squads faster than an STD in a frat house, leaving all enemies afflicted with the maximum health halving viral status. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, viral usually only lasts 6 seconds. However, along with its duration being increased by Saryn's passive, any spores that are popped on surrounding targets will refresh the duration of any other spored units within range, ensuring that enemies' health stays halved until you've managed to finish them off. Molt is Saryn's second ability. She strips down, removing any current status effects, and sheds her skin, leaving behind a decoy at her current position that is fairly decent at drawing enemy fire. If the decoy is destroyed at its base, it will deal 400 points of damage to all enemies within a 10-meter range, as well as inflict them with a toxin status. Now, only 1 instance of Molt can exist at a time, so recasting it will cause the original version to detonate. In addition, Molt can now be seeded with Spore at a reduced energy cost, dealing no damage to Molt but giving it the same infectious properties as a spored enemy unit. When detonated, spored Molts will now transfer another instance of spores to surrounding enemies, as well as the toxin and viral status. Now, seeing as Saryn is a bit of an up-close and personal frame, this is definitely a handy trick to keep up your sleeve just in case she gets into a sticky situation. Because not only will this cleanse pesky slash procs, but it also will give you a bit of breathing room before re-engaging with the enemies you've freshly debuffed. Saryn's third ability, Toxic Lash, at its base coats her melee weapon with venom for the next 30 seconds, inflicting 30% bonus toxin damage with a 100% chance to inflict the toxin status on every melee strike, and granting a 40% additive damage reduction to her current melee weapon's ability to block. Now, keep in mind that this ability does scale with your melee weapon's total damage before factoring in weakness and resistance. However, it deals a separate instance of damage, so you'll see the damage your weapon inflicts, as well as a separate number from Toxic Lash. In addition, if you strike an enemy unit or Molt afflicted with spores, you restore 2 points of energy and will be guaranteed to pop 1 of them, spreading more spores to surrounding enemies as well as the toxin and viral status, which gives you even more targets to restore energy from. Saryn's fourth and final ability is Miasma. She unleashes a cloud of corrosive poison which temporarily stuns enemies, and at its base deals 350 points of damage upon casting, and once per second for 3 seconds to all enemies within a 15-meter range. Note that by boosting power duration, you will be granted extra ticks of damage. In addition, its damage can be boosted by inflicting the toxin or viral status on the enemy, either of which will individually boost Miasma's damage by 100%, for a possible bonus of 200% based on its interactions with enemy status. Miasma also has a few mechanics with Molt. If Miasma is cast within range of Molt, it will cause Molt to detonate, triggering its damage and toxin status, and amplifying Miasma's damage based on how much health that instance of Molt had lost. When used properly, not only are you fighting enemies at half health, but you're also enjoying at least a 200% damage boost, which at its base puts Miasma at 1050 points of damage per tick. So all in all, Saryn's rework is absolutely fantastic. It's engaging and a far cry from her press 4 to win heritage. You're incentivized not only to use your other abilities, but actually engage in combat. It gets you to think about what you're doing and how to best combo one ability with another, rewarding a skilled player with the ability to slice their opponent's health in half before they've even seen them, the ability to regenerate copious amounts of energy through melee combat, and grant yourself a staggering damage bonus on her ultimate. Now admittedly, using her to her full potential takes a bit of practice. However, her ability to spread the viral and toxin status quickly and efficiently make her an awesome debuffer and, depending on your group setup, a feasible add to endgame group compositions. I think my only real issue with Saryn at this point is her limited amount of control. While Molt can be a great way to pull some heat off of you, in in-game scenarios it just doesn't hold up. And while Miasma does have a short stun upon its initial cast, it doesn't last long enough or have enough range for the stun to be meaningful. However, no frame can have it all, so in this case it's best to just appreciate her for her powerful assets. So thank you all for watching another episode of The Rundown. For some playtesting on Miasma, check out this episode of Doing It Raw. And for one of the current builds I'm using, check out this snapshot for my Venomous Lash build. Now don't forget to do all the things that I ask you to do at the end of every one of these, and as always, stay tuned to watch me spread more of my love here at A Gay Guy Plays. Now, I don't know about you, but if I were Saryn, I would be pretty fucking pissed that all these dumbasses are confusing me with dead skin. What the fuck is that about?